Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ben, this is Books of Benghis Khan, and today I'm coming to you with my mid-year Freakout Tag, one of my favorite traditions here on the channel. And man, I can't even believe we are halfway through 2026. I was just getting used to it being 2026. Man, time is a vortex, so just don't understand how that's even possible. But I always love this as a way to reflect on the first half of my reading year and wrap it up in a fun way. So here we go. It's been a great reading year so far, so I can't wait to gush about a lot of my new favorite things in all of these books. And so the first prompt, the best book you've read so far in 2026. The next prompt is about a sequel. I always have these conflicts about what to say for that prompt, but this one was easy because the best book, for me, my favorite one, is also a standalone, and that is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This small, slim novel was just an absolute, utter masterpiece for me. Engaged me from page one right to the end, and feels like it'll just stay with me for life, and I'll come back to it and want to reread it, and I feel like it could be something from this modern era that really lasts hundreds and hundreds of years on into the future as a literary classic, if we are still reading as a civilization, and keeping to looking back and trying to hold on to some classics. So I think this one might survive and be read long from now, and just a spectacular and very introspective and meditative read that was so fresh for me, so unique in the situation and the perspective and the POV. Just unbelievable stuff here. So loved that. Number two, the best sequel you've read so far in 2026, and I am spoiled for choice here. A bunch of my truly favorite series came out with new releases, and they were all huge hits for me. So we could start with A Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinniman, newest entry in Dungeon Crawler Carl. Read it twice, back to back, loved it, and that was a delight. And man, this one probably hit even more for me, though, and that was 12 Months by Jim Butcher. A real, just quieter step back from the heavy, intense action that was Battleground, the previous entry in the Dresden Files, and this one was just the perfect follow-up that really hit hard emotionally. And exactly the type of change-up that I love that he's been doing a lot throughout the series, from Changes into Ghost Story, and just another fantastic one that has a completely new format as we follow Harry through a whole year after the events of Battleground. Just great new entry there. But I'm saving the best for last year, because the one that was the biggest hit for me as a sequel was The Faith of Beasts by James S.A. Corey, Book 2 in the Captives' War trilogy. If you are not reading this series yet, do yourself a favor, pick it up, although you could just wait the next year or so until the whole series is ready if you want, because you'll be in great suspense of what's going to happen. But I had no problem rereading book one and lead up to this, and I just was glued to the page every step of the way. Just everything I wanted out of the sequel for this one. Number three, a new release you haven't read yet but want to. I had one that just came in, which I'm pretty psyched about, and that is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. I've been seeing absolute rave reviews from a bunch of different friends over this new fantasy standalone. And I got this beautiful just trade hardcover that just comes with great end paper art and some beautiful gilt edges there. So I've heard fantastic things about this, and have been struggling to get into a lot of younger, modern fantasy authors, and so I have high hopes that this one could work. And then I don't have the book yet, but Platform Decay is the newest Murderbot entry. I was kind of souring on Murderbot with this one, the most recent one, System Collapse, but then I got back into it with the show, and I am curious. I always love reading it in print with all of the kind of parentheticals that Wells does with the Murderbot POV. And so even if it's not the most amazing read of my life, I still enjoy reading these Murderbot books. So I do want to read that new release. Number four, my most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and that one is going to be The Splintered Sun by Tad Williams. So I am almost done with the Ostenard saga. I'm really loving my time with it, and I was going to be sad coming to the end, but so thrilled to learn he was still writing in the world and is going to be releasing the first book in a new sub-series in the world. And I heard that might be following some bandits kind of well before the time period of the kind of present day of the series, and I'm all for it. I love his writing in this world. So yeah, I'm pumped to see where he takes it, and just to know that I'm not going to be done once I read the finale of Ostenard. And I am pretty psyched for Brandon Sanderson's Fires of December, his new kind of standalone secret project release, because a bunch of those were big hits for me. Tress, Yumi, what was that one? Sunlit Man. Those all worked. I didn't yet read Isles of the Emberdark. That had less of an appeal, but I am knowing that this is going to be more in that Tress style. That worked really well for me, so I'm pumped for that new Cosmere book. All right, number 5, my biggest disappointment. This one is a pretty easy answer, because I had very high hopes for this one, and it did not deliver. And that was Children of Strife by Adrian Tchaikovsky, the 4th book in his Children of Time series. And I just had an absolute slog of a time with this book. I was hoping he was going to recapture some of the magic of book 1 and 2. Book 3 felt like maybe a bit of an indulgent diversion from the typical structure of those, but man, I was hoping he was going to recapture the magic, and it just utterly failed to launch. I hated his kind of 3 timeline structure and rotating between them. He gave short shrift to a couple of those timelines. We just never got momentum with some of the character groups, and I just think where he spent a lot of his time with a lot of social satire just did not click for me at all. Man, I really just am not vibing with his most recent science fiction, and a lot of the choices he's making there. His earlier science fiction and fantasy was just perfect for me, so just hitting for me in every way, and I'm struggling with Tchaikovsky now, but man, I'm still gonna keep up and try to catch up with a lot of books I still haven't read of his, and try to see if things can click again. Number 6, a favorite new author. And when I was looking through all the books I'd read, it was pretty shocking that I had read only one new author to me. Luckily, their writing was a big hit. And so, yeah, I have Jacqueline Hartman as a clear favorite new author with a favorite new all-time read for me. And, she doesn't have that many other books published in English that I'd really be interested in reading, so I don't know if I'm going to explore other Hartman books, but I will certainly be treasuring this one. Just goes to show, I need to just try to bring in more variety and read some new authors, because I kind of stick to some old faithful choices that do deliver, and I've read amazing sequels, but I want to spread out and discover new authors for sure. Number 7, the biggest surprise of the year so far, and that was loving The Fellowship of the Ring, which I had tried a bunch of years back when I had first got into modern fantasy, and did not click with Tolkien's style. And I mean, I grew up loving the movie The Fellowship of the Ring and the whole series, but I just thought maybe The Fellowship of the Ring in written form was not going to work for me, and I came back to this wanting to do it with Andy Serkis's audio narration, and I thought, yeah, I only tried to read Fellowship before. I just got to kind of rush through that and get to something new with Two Towers, and thought that would be the good stuff. But man, was I delighted to find that I was able to get immersed in Tolkien's writing in a way I just didn't have the patience for when it was, 6 years ago when I tried it out. And I found myself just delighting in the prose, the descriptions, the interludes that I had no patience for before, like with Tom Bombadil. I was just loving this time around. And every stop along the way was just a new little mini adventure. And before I was like, when are we going to get to the big important stuff and all the action? But that is not what these books are about. I think I had been conditioned by the film versions to just expect something a little different out of the story. And now that it's been a lot more years since, I was really just loving those films and watching them a lot, and just in a different place where I'm appreciating just more elegant prose and not in any rush to get anywhere with stories now, and I think it was just a delightful surprise that the Fellowship of the Ring specifically works so well. And then I continued on into Two Towers and was loving that as well. And I still have to kind of want to slowly make my way through these and not rush it and do it when it's the right time. But I still got to get through kind of the back half of this trilogy. But yeah, that was an awesome surprise. Number 8, a book that made you happy. That would be a reread of a favorite book. That is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which I did just after seeing the movie. The movie was a delight. It brought me so much joy seeing such a faithful adaptation brought to the screen so lovingly by the directors and with an amazing performance by Ryan Gosling and side characters. And then I did a re-listen with Ray Porter's great narration, and I loved just experiencing it both ways. And the story always just makes me happy and takes me on a wonderful journey. But so, I mean, that certainly made me happy. But in terms of a new read that made me happy, I'll go back to A Parade of Horribles, because I was, for the week that I was listening to this, was just in a special kind of happy place that Matt Dinniman with Dungeon Crawler Carl is takes me to a place no one else can. And I was, just in my own zone listening to this thing and laughing out loud, and just, man, this next part of the tale was so tense, but with so many incredibly funny and zany moments as well that brought joy, like the amazing karaoke scene in there. That's just one of a kind. So yeah, that also made me very, very happy. Number 9, my newest fictional crush. Now, I see other people doing this tag saying they don't get fictional crushes, and yeah, I feel bad for you. I'd say just, let yourself go. Live a little bit when you're reading for fun. Man, I get so immersed in tales, like, I think it's natural to let yourself get a little attached to some of the characters. I mean, these aren't real life crushes I have, but yeah, I would say, like, I imagine myself there and feel like, oh, if I were in that world with this character, like, yeah, maybe I'd have a little bit of a romantic thing for them going on. So I have no problem answering this question, and I do have a new fictional crush, which was Ista from Paladin of Souls by Lois McMaster-Bujold. I don't know if you can see this beautiful painted cover there, but this is one of just Bujold's incredible kind of middle-aged female POV characters that she creates, and so nuanced and complex, and is going through a really kind of interesting identity crisis kind of in this middle portion of her life, as things are completely changed and she can kind of start fresh and new. And yeah, Ista, incredibly brave and courageous and just extremely complex character. And then number 10, my newest favorite character. Sometimes I have trouble like picking out individual characters that really shone out of books or series, because I just tend to get attached to everyone in a book that I love. But I would say in the Last King of Ostenard series by Tad Williams, there is a clear new favorite character for me. And there are some returning characters as well. But in terms of a new character, the character of Morgan, who's a prominent POV in the books, Prince Morgan, this character, just from the book 1, he's a little problematic in book 1, a bit of a drunkard and loud, and just this late teenager who's spoiled and grown up with basically no responsibilities, and but you could tell he had good intentions or a good heart, and was just kind of not being faced with the right situation. And then as we move into Empire of Grass, he's actually challenged, and he rises to the kitchen and goes through growth and maturation, and a really well-earned growth and maturation arc is one of the more satisfying things to read for me, especially in a nice long drawn-out fantasy series where we have real time and many pages to spend with the characters and going on different kinds of journeys. And I, throughout this sub-series, just have been utterly glued to Morgan's POV chapters in particular, and I kind of have been a little antsy to get back. And so yeah, just a really just clear, shining new star of a character for me that I think Ted Williams just did magnificently with. Number 11, a book that made you cry. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for this one. I usually have maybe just one or two that did, but maybe my heart is hardening a little bit. I mean, I'm hopeful though that a couple coming up could do the trick. So yeah, the ones that I'll show off that I'll be getting to later, I do have hopes that they might pull on the heartstrings so much to grab some tears out of me. But yeah, I'm a little bit stingy with the tears. So nothing yet this year. 12, the most beautiful book I've gotten this year, and that would be Empire of Silence, the Anderida Special Edition, which is a specialty UK publisher that Rockio has been partnering with for a long time. I initially got the kind of collections of short stories and novellas that they did, and then man, their books were so amazing that I kept up, and even though I've multiple editions of this, I just had to see what they were going to do with Empire of Silence, and it is spectacular. It's like a jumbo version of a hardcover. Like, it's really wide and heavy, and just beautiful wraparound cover art. And then, I mean, the actual book, I mean, the paper is incredibly high quality, but look what they do. They do this special kind of like sparkly cloth-bound cover, and they somehow did some art in there of C. Elson that is great. I mean, this just feels great to hold. It's huge. I can't even imagine what the later books are going to be like because they're much longer than Empire of Silence, and this one is already just a tome, and there's just great art inside this. So yeah, man, this I am so happy with, and going to be a treasured special edition. And 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I am coming to the end of my big Ostenard buddy read, so this one is already underway. The Navigator's Children, the finale, the grand big finale of the Last King of Ostenard series. So yeah, gotta read and finish that. And then I have not yet read a new Guy Gavriel Kay book this year, and for basically my favorite author, I gotta keep going through his books because I just, not knowing that there are these books out there that he's written that I haven't read, like just feeling like I'm missing out still. So I gotta get back. I don't want to go through them too fast, but it's been a little while now. I think the time is right to read Under Heaven, and very, very psyched for that. And I have a book that's maybe been on my fantasy TBR the longer than any other book or series, and that is Shadow of What Was Lost, Lycanius trilogy by James Islington, read by Kyle. Wants to do a buddy read with me soon in the summer, so we are going to do it. Let's stick to that, Kyle, because yeah, I picked up this book when I initially got back into modern fantasy and went to do my first kind of Barnes & Noble run and grab a bunch of stuff, and so this has been waiting very patiently for its turn. And now that James Islington is blown up with the Hierarchy series, I still want to get to this first series before I get to try that new one. So do want to start and try out that series. So that was my mid-year freakout tag. Let me know your answers to any of these if you want to go for that in the comments. And yeah, I'll catch you later.